taken lead. So many other actors have taken lead, including us. Even as Office of RCC and Office of President in Arua City has taken lead in fight against corruption. Okay. So we tell our Ugandans that whoever is trying to move behind doors and mobilize our young people from our households to join them in a riot in the fight against corruption, the security is class 1 alert, because we do not want the peace that NRM government has worked for to be taken for granted by few individuals who want to hide behind issues of corruption and want to take the law into their hands. We already saw what happened in Kampala, and that security is across Uganda, and for us as a government, as security top officials, will make sure that we get arrests of people who will come on streets to riot, because there are ways, better ways to sort these matters. Our Office of the President, a special office of RCC that heads the security and all the government programs, is very open. When you have seen people getting our monies and embezzling them, and if you have evidence, please walk to our office, inform us so that we can be able to swing in action, so that we will be able to fish out those who are actually very corrupt. I want to condone this act. There were young people who come from Arua City and they were passing information on X, formerly Twitter. I want to say we have seen your faces. We are not scaring you, but we have seen your faces. We are not going to take that lightly, because the biggest population of this country is focusing on socioeconomic transformation of themselves, of their communities, and everybody. So we should not take advantage of the freedom to speech and freedom to work just to disrupt people's businesses, because Arua City is a metropolitan city that harbors two different international borders of Democratic Republic of Congo and South Sudan, and that gives a level in which Arua City is in, meaning we are actually in an international city where people come from other countries to come and do business here. This is a very big business center where the security has to be up to date. So for those who are thinking they are coming this morning or this week or this month or this year to come and riot on the streets to disrupt people's business, we will kindly pick you and put you where you can better be, so that you rest and allow Ugandans who are serious to
talking about the
coming to the government programs.
Before we get in there, I believe the young people have a point, and I do understand that corruption in one way or the other has affected the progress of these government programs. For instance, the PDM and the EMYOOGA, we have seen these cases. Recently I was in Maracha, where these locals are complaining of some of the stakeholders who ask money from them, first of all registration and also the other deals, and that has already been there. These locals have always raised those concerns, not only in Maracha, in Terego, also there, the same complaints already have been coming out. How has corruption, which these young people want to fight, affected the progress of these government programs?
I want to say, first of all, I'm speaking in regard to only Arua City, because that is my area of operation. There might be cases of corruption in government programs in Terego and Maracha and other districts, but I cannot speak for them because I am not particularly there. But regarding corruption in government programs, I must say yes, it is there. But the question is, who does it? The people who do it are our children. The people who are corrupt are our husbands, our wives, our fathers, our mothers. You have seen in the recent times when other leaders condoned corruption and reported cases and arrests were made. People came, people were, splashing words that, why are you arresting our relatives? Why are you arresting my brother? Why are you arresting my sister? Meaning corruption starts from a household level. As long as a parent, you do not condone corruption in your own home, children will grow up in it and learn it, and it becomes a habit. And that is what is killing our public offices, because people have a godfather, people have their relatives who do not want them to be talked about. It becomes very hard to fight corruption. But the force, the energy has been gained, and I must say the government is committed in fighting this, because a lot of monies that would have gone for economic transformation of households so that their incomes can actually be increased have gone into pockets of individuals, and this has affected government programs a lot. But also, even as people receive these programs, how ready are they for these programs? Because the NRM government is very committed and is providing every resource that the Wananchi needs. And if the Wananchi are taking it for granted, you get a PDM money instead of maybe starting a business or starting the enterprise that you had applied for. You are using it for getting married. You're using it for buying a car. You're using it for buying a motorcycle. Probably, I must say, if there are young people who have received these funds and they have put it into buying maybe motorcycle, and the motorcycle is used as a border business, that is where their lives can be transformed. But when you get it and use it for getting a second wife, or you use it for clothing yourself, it does not bring the socio-economic transformation that we are talking about.
So in other words, should we say those who channel the money to other programs are corrupt? Could it be a form of corruption? Because when you are asking for this money, yes, you know, when people were asking for this money, they had projects that they outlined. But when it comes to implementation, we have seen people using the money, earlier on you were able to mention here, or people who use the money for marriages, for doing other things, which it is not the purpose that this money was given for, because the government entirely gives this money for what we call poverty eradication programs. Yes. And that's to make sure that the Ugandans have some money into their pockets. But others eat the money. Could that be the corrupt form of corruption we're talking about? Because when you talk about corruption, in most cases, people think about corruption at the highest level, neglecting the downer corruption also really, which also really I feel is a form of corruption.
Exactly. When you have an enterprise that you made a choice of, and then instead of utilizing this money in this enterprise, probably you go and get a second wife with this money, that is corruption. Because first of all these monies are a revolving fund, meaning you use it for a specific period of time and you pay back so that your neighbor or another member in your household can be able to get it. But when you get it, you use it for marrying a second wife, it means you're corrupt. Okay. And we will not hesitate to arrest you. Okay. Because the information is clear that you get this money, venture it into a productive enterprise so that you will be able to fetch more money to increase your household income level. And unfortunately, there are those who do not make use of it properly, and that is where our interest is. Okay, before I allow you to continue, let me first bring in Minala a little bit from the perspective of the law. Is there any punishment for those who mischannel this money? For instance, that money government is giving them, because in most cases where people think that this money is for campaigns and it's okay for them to eat it. What can you say about it? Do we have any punishment for such? If not, why don't you think it is prudent that we have a law that also will handle such citizens? Because recently we did see one of the statements that came out from one of the top leaders saying those who are corrupt should report to police and file a statement, and that is something that did go on with a section of the members of the public, but that is something that happened. I believe now there's something that needs to be done to those who refuse to use this money for the right purpose they actually borrowed it for. What can you say about it?
Thank you so much. Usually when someone receives funds and misuses it for not the purpose it was intended to, especially when you go into these government programs, we may not necessarily say it's corruption, but they actually have misused the funds. So if the funds were meant for maybe an agricultural project, and for you decide to use the funds for campaign, if you are meant to pay back these funds, you have to pay them regardless of whatever you use them for. So that's where it becomes hard on them. If you misuse this money and it doesn't generate the income you are supposed to have at the end of the day, then you have to pay it back the way it was supposed to be. You will not be excused for it. But there is no offense really for not using the money the way you're supposed to use it, as long as you pay it back. But it becomes a problem when you fail to pay this money back and they are demanding you to pay for it and you use it for something else like marriage or something that cannot even give you that money. So probably there is need for that law to be put in place, because you find that this money sometimes goes into the wrong hands. Some people go for it and they don't really need it, but they just want to somehow frustrate the government programs. They want like people to see it in a different way, that the government is actually not doing something. And yet this money is meant for these vulnerables. People who need this money are quite a number. So for a person to go and pick this money and misuse it in their own way and also fail to pay and start hiding, crossing borders when they have to pay this money, I think I will agree with the RCC on this. People should use the money for the right reasons for which they picked it, and I'm in support of the fact that there should have been a law to support this, or a law to punish people who pick the money and use it for other reasons, because it would be more like holding out. It would be more like lying. You've gone there asking for the money that you want to do agriculture, then you end up doing something different. And I believe it is just courtesy and also honesty for someone to be straight up in such situations. So there needs to be a law, and there needs to be strict measures for people who do not use this money the right way, because there are many people who would have used this money better. We know that, yeah? Okay. So if we don't do it this way, we discourage the other people. Perhaps the opportunity that you've got, someone else would have gotten it and done something better. We've seen people grow out of these government programs. We've seen people become rich and support others to also grow. So these are the people that we need to benefit from this money, so that they can also be able to change the community they are in, to be able to support other people that are behind them, other than you who is going to take the money and misuse it and hide away.
Okay, that is it. And now I want to understand, in Central Division, do we have people whom we can now use as role models in terms of these government programs?
Yes.
If we are to trace them.
Yes. We already have people who receive these funds and they are doing well. And these are people that our focus is on, because now we want to use them as a leaf so that others can actually borrow from. We have a number of women whose business capitals have increased. They got the 1 million, but as we speak now, they have over 5 or 10 million, courtesy of the parish development model money and also EMYOOGA. There is a group in Naive East that has accumulated over 30 million of EMYOOGA money, and those are groups that we are building their capacities so that they also become change makers in the communities of ARUA city. And they are doing very well. Their household incomes have increased, their children are in school. Even when you go physically to their homes, you see a rapid change in the kind of buildings that they now have. Because at the end of that day, our focus is to see if there were households, 100 households, who received this money and they were living in a grass-thatched house, have they transformed to maybe having a Mubati house? That is the behind, initiative that we want to see as a government. And in ARUA city, in Naivu, the EMYOOGA group is doing perfectly well. Okay. Yeah.
And looking at the planned protest also to move, that is from wherever they are to the city hall today, this is actually being planned by the youths in this country. And I believe the youths, who are the majority, very many times are complaining about also being neglected in the government programs. And one also initiative that we have seen quite often coming out is the fact that many of them say that they are not being also really targeted in the government programs, and that is why they feel the government has neglected them. And actually, that is actually one reason also really they feel they need to march forward and maybe to solely express their grievances in there. Don't you think dialogue would be okay, maybe for government to also really sit down with the, maybe the youth to also really understand their concerns, and if now where money can be channeled, that should also really be done so. Because we have a youth livelihood program, entire program also that was mainly targeting the youth, but we have not seen the fruits yielding very much. Where is the gap, and what has happened, and what did not go on well in terms of also really making sure the youths find something also to do in their pockets other than also really being in the poverty bar line down there?
Thank you very much. I must say that the NRM government has never failed to service products or programs to the young people in this country. The fact that almost 89% of this country's population is young, the government has done a lot in as far as transforming the young people economically so that they can be viably rich in their households. Youth livelihood program. I have been a youth leader. I served as the district female youth councillor for Maracha for 5 years, and I was a member of the district executive committee. I can tell you that all the young people, these monies came, all the young people who received these monies, less than 20% of them paid back these monies. And yet it is a revolving fund. Young people get this money, instead of putting it into use so that it generates more capital or money, they end up eating it. You see a young person getting money today and tomorrow is buying a motorcycle, does not use this motorcycle to generate more money. His thinking is, I have a motorcycle to ride myself around, but does not think about the transformation economically that this motorcycle can actually do. The youth livelihood program is still on, and there are those few groups that got this money, used it well, and their lives are transformed. So, as long as young people, you do not come in groups, because government programs do not go to people individually. Youth livelihood, you form a group. I think it has been reduced to 5-member groups. You form a group. You should have good financial behavior, because one of the challenges as a government we realized was that yes, people form groups within their own villages, but at the end of the day you realize that even within their own groups they cheat themselves, they become corrupt within their own groups. So when corruption comes in, you see the leaders taking advantage, leaders of those groups take advantage of these monies and run away with them. And that has been a challenge. And then as government, when we come to enforce so that we arrest these young people and so that they can be able to pay these monies so that their other followers can receive it, the community also turns and says government is arresting our children. That is where the challenge is. Okay. But the government of Uganda is very committed. The youth livelihood program is there to benefit the young people. The EMYOOGA is there to benefit the young people. The parish development model has a percentage to the young people. But it is not given individually. You have to be in groups. Government programs are benefited in groups. So as long as you're making noise on streets individually and you want funds to be given to you individually, we will not undo the guidelines of these programs. Okay. For us as government, as long as you're young, you form your group and you say we want this kind of program, say the youth livelihood or the Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program, or you want the parish development model, and you have national ID, we will go ahead. Our technical officers will go ahead and give you the service. Okay. Unfortunately, it has also come to our notice as government that some young people you see on streets making noise that the government is not doing enough for them do not actually have national IDs. Okay. You know, these are programs that come, young people do not take advantage of them. Now when it becomes a problem, they say government is bad. So, as a young person... In other words, should we say that young people are finding it difficult to access these funds? They are not finding it difficult. They are finding it difficult because they do not want to be in groups. Okay. They are finding, some are finding it difficult because they do not have national IDs. So how do we trust that you come from this particular village when actually you do not have a national ID. These are factors that we should see as young persons, so that we are able to address them at individual level, so that we are able to achieve and receive these government programs.
Okay, many of the times the young people say the conditions are a bit tight for them to access these funds. Don't you think it will be okay if at all we also weaken maybe the rules and regulations in terms of accessing these funds, so that these young people who are complaining, who are going to be moving onto the streets, also benefit?
We cannot undo a guideline that is working nationally. If the young people in, say, Bunyoro and Busoga and maybe in Ankole are progressing well with this same service, why should one or two individuals, probably young people who are in opposition, make noise that these services have too strict guidelines? Okay. The guideline says it has to be in a group. Okay. As long as you are a rightful-minded young person who comes from, say, in Pajulu, go back to your village, form that group, and meet your parish chiefs, meet your sub-county officers, so that you can be able to get these services. But the condition has to be, or is, you have to get it in a group. Okay,
now Minala, I want to bring you on here. Many times the young people say they have been left and neglected to poverty, and that is why the issue of Afaziwereo is always coming up. Something small, and that has also subjected them to what we call the road guards, as the leaders call them. And this is today something which I really feel is a big concern, because we would also really be part of maybe seeing this youth really progress, that's financially through the government programs, but we're not seeing that also really happening. And today we are having a section of the youths who are planning to also really move from wherever they are coming from, that is to the city hall, where also they feel they need to also really express their concerns. That is the government, first of all, in relation to the rampant corruption. And then secondly, on the issue of what we call unemployment, plus many other problems affecting them. Because yesterday I was on one of the platforms, I was able to hear the young people also really say a lot. Remember, the laws permit them to also really demonstrate, but really, how should they do it before also really us getting into the problems and also really into the wrath of the law in there?
Okay, thank you so much. I want to start with the part where the youth, the young people, are complaining that they are really not benefiting from these government programs. One thing I can testify to is very many people have actually benefited. Much as they complain of that, they just need to do these small things that Madam Judith has spoken about. You have to be organized in a group. Coming into a group is not that much for young people. They just need to be in a group of 5, organize themselves, and just go and register. It doesn't take that much time. And for those who say that they are not benefiting, or maybe if they had tried and failed, there would be saying maybe there is an issue there. But if they have not even tried, they have not even taken a single step, they do not have to come to the street and say they are not benefiting from these programs. It only takes a person who has taken a chance to try to come and complain. And also about poverty and unemployment. Usually these funds, if they are given to you, you do not have to be employed to succeed in life. You can actually make a life out of that. You can become an employer. It's the best part of everything. Start up a business. There are small businesses that people are doing in town. People are hustling. They call each other juakali. So if you become a juakali, and in that way you have a business that is bringing income, is bringing money to your table, it will be a source of employment for the other people who are actually badly off, who may have not benefited from these programs because they don't have the IDs, because they don't have the access in different ways, especially because of the ID. For someone who has an ID, I would recommend you take up this step. The money is meant for you people. The money is meant for us. So if we do not use it, we shall stay unemployed, we shall be poor, and we shall always complain about poverty because we've not tried the chances. Uganda is being very kind to us. They have given us these opportunities to grow. I would advise every youth to take up that chance, every woman there, and even the persons with disability. Let us not remain below the poverty belt. Let us grow together and become something better. By the way, if you realize the people who are going to protest, most of them are really the unemployed youth, like you've said, the disgruntled youth. When you go to communities, we usually take sensitizations. We go and talk to people, community policing with my sister here. We do that a lot, but you realize out of 100 people, you only have 10 men. And you'll ask yourself, why are they only 10? You'll find the elderly, but you'll not find the youth. They're usually very few because they don't have time to listen to such things. They don't have time to listen to the radios to understand how can I be able to benefit from these different programs. But if they had the opportunity to come to these community gatherings, they would know that the government is bringing services closer. We are trying to empower everyone as much as possible in our different services. Even us here, we try to reach out to the youth, to the most vulnerable, to ensure that they are being protected, even in their right side. So about the march, I would recommend, like you said earlier, a dialogue. I personally have witnessed a group of youth walking to organizing themselves through their leader, going to the RCC's office, and they had a very interesting dialogue. It was just a discussion. And he really told them that you do not have to strike. My office is always open to such discussions. And I felt really good about it because when I saw so many people, for some reason I felt there would be some commotion. But believe me, there was even no any guns or any police around. It was just a dialogue. And it ended very well. Why don't we try these approaches again? You are marching against corruption. Yes, corruption has affected so many people in different aspects, in accessing justice, in accessing these programs. But what have you done about it besides the march? Marchers, it's our right to march, it's our right to do this, but let's do it the right way. Let's do it through these, through getting consent and all that, through police. They can support us. Even the office of the RCC, they have really been supportive. But what if you've come through this and you have a case of corruption? Have you tried reporting it anywhere? Do we even know that we have a law, a whole law, an act? It's the Anti-Corruption Act that is fighting corruption. We have a whole court, the Anti-Corruption Division in Kampala, and it moves rotationally. So if you report such cases, it would be easier for the country to know, for the district, for the city to know that this is the number of cases we have arising from corruption, and there will be something done other than us deciding to march and cause chaos. In this chaos, people, the worst can happen. People will get arrested, and if you get arrested, how are you going to survive for the next days? You may have to take a long time to go to court. That's
yes,
a whole
Council,
process.
sorry to cut you short. I do understand that the laws permit people to demonstrate. What can you say about that?
Yes, the
because
laws
it is within the jurisdictions of the law. If at all, maybe they sought the right channels, they are permitted to do so.
Yes, the
but in this case, we are seeing the president has already recently coming out to say those who are planning to maybe protest are stepping on fire. What can you say about that remark?
Of course, that remark cannot be that good on my side, speaking from the legal perspective, because we really do know that there is a right to do that. People have a right to peaceful demonstration. The point is peaceful demonstration, not a demonstration that is going to leave people's properties destroyed. And because the intentions are not clear, that's why I believe that statement probably came out. The intentions of the people marching could be different. Some people could be doing this, having different motives, maybe to steal other people's property, maybe to injure their colleagues in the process. But those who have the clear intention to march and to protest peacefully, I believe they must have involved the police in this. They must have involved the lawmakers, like, okay, the law enforcement, so that they're even given the protection they need. I remember at some point, there was this statement that if people want to protest these peaceful demonstrations, they should involve Honorable Kano Nakalema. And just this very week, I was on an X space, and she was involved in all this. And just that I can't say much about how it ended because really I wasn't that much involved. But we can do this the right way. If we are allowed to do it, if police goes ahead and say, like, you can do it and you're permitted, then there are channels you should go through. You should just follow that guideline itself. But believe me, it's very risky, very alarming for the protests to go on without police involvement, without the protection. I know we are hurting for corruption. No one would want corruption in this country because it has affected people in different ways. But I would still advise, let's take this on a level of dialogue. Let's have a peaceful dialogue. Let's sit down and have a discussion before you risk your life for this step. Much as it is it's something that we are learning from our colleagues from the other side of the country. It is not for everyone. We all have different lives to live. We have different goals in life.
That statement reminds me of those days when teachers used to tell us, remember, you come from different backgrounds before you engage in strikes, and that is something Minala just reminded me of. And now I want to come back to Judith in relation to the planned protests in Arua city. As head of all security in the country, and also as in the city, what are we expecting, and what are we anticipating, and what exactly are you going to be doing to make sure that these protesters are safe?
First of all, we condone it as head of security of Arua city, because we do not want this busy Arua Central Division Business Center to be disrupted with issues of people running up and down, people getting injured, people's property being stolen. That is what we are condoning. And by the way, as security, we are not going to allow anybody to take advantage of the peace in this city, the peace in this country, to riot. Trust me today. Henceforth from today, nobody, I say nobody, is going to riot on the streets of Arua city.
I want to repeat that statement when you're looking at the camera.
Yes.
So
trust me, nobody, and I say it again boldly, nobody will riot on the streets of Arua, because our security team is already set on ground, class 1, and we are ready to do anything. We are ready to pick those who are inciting violence, those who are going to come on streets in the names of rioting.
Okay.
Because as Minala said, there are better ways. Our office of RCC is wide open, and we are many in number in that office, and we are ready to hold a dialogue, peaceful dialogue, but not through riots.
Okay, that is it. We are calling for dialogue. We, in the strongest terms, condemn that's the demonstrations, but really, as much as it is within the law, we can still use the right channels only to make sure that police and security agencies guide us in doing this work, and that is what we expect out of the protesters. But we are going to be following up and also to see how these events will be ending and how they will be going on in Arua city. That will also really be coming to feature on the show tomorrow. For now, we are taking a short commercial break that will be ushering us into the other programs where we shall be talking about wetland conservation, because many times we have seen the climate change, and today this has already been attributed to what we call encroachment on the environment, and this is where the wetlands have been tampered with. The team will be telling us what exactly they will be doing to make sure that the wetland that is being endangered is actually protected in there. But for now, we take this short commercial break that will be ushering us into the second hour of the discussions. Stay tuned.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Miss Uganda 2024 Grand Finale is here! 28 finalists, 1 crown. On Saturday, 3rd of August at 8 p.m. Sheraton Hotel. True Ugandan beauty will be spiced up with glamour and entertainment from the legendary Maddox Matimba, the popular Abeka Band, and Jackie Chandiru. The show will broadcast live exclusively on Makula Chika on Star Times at 8 p.m. Come, let's celebrate Ugandan beauty. Sponsored by VNA, Alemzed, Comform, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors Dress Textiles and U-Home. Miss Uganda 2024, True Ugandan Beauty.
Teachers College where girls invites parents, political leaders at all levels, civil servants, civil society organizations, the business communities, cultural leaders, OGs of War Girls and OBs of St. Aloysius College Nyapea, schools representatives within Zombo and all well-wishers for the school's Patron Saints Day on the 20th of July 2024 at the school starting at 10 a.m. with Holy Mass to be presided over by His Grace Raphael Pumonyo Courage, the Archbishop of Gulu Archdiocese. There will be a fundraising to collect funds for the renovation of staff houses and purchase of a grinding mill for the school. The chief guest for the day will be Dr. Joyce Kadushu Moriku, the State Minister for Primary Education. My name is Gramia Vivian, the head girl of St. Peter's College where girls. I also invite you all.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Miss Uganda 2024 Grand Finale is here! 28 finalists, 1 crown. On Saturday, 3rd of August at 8 p.m. Sheraton Hotel. True Ugandan beauty will be spiced up with glamour and entertainment from the legendary Maddox Matimba, the popular Abeka Band, and Jackie Chandiru. The show will broadcast live exclusively on Makula Chika on Star Times at 8 p.m. Come, let's celebrate Ugandan beauty. Sponsored by VNA, Alemzed, Comform, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors Dress Textiles and U-Home. Miss Uganda 2024, True Ugandan Beauty.
Teachers College where girls invites parents, political leaders at all levels, civil servants, civil society organizations, the business communities, cultural leaders, OGs of War Girls and OBs of St. Aloysius College Nyapea, schools representatives within Zombo and all well-wishers for the school's Patron Saints Day on the 20th of July 2024 at the school starting at 10 a.m. with Holy Mass to be presided over by His Grace Raphael Pumonyo Courage, the Archbishop of Gulu Archdiocese. There will be a fundraising to collect funds for the renovation of staff houses and purchase of a grinding mill for the school. The chief guest for the day will be Dr. Joyce Kadushu Moriku, the State Minister for Primary Education. My name is Gramia Vivian, the head girl of St. Peter's College where girls. I also invite you all.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
The Miss Uganda 2024 Grand Finale is here! 28 finalists, one crown. On Saturday, 3rd of August at 8 p.m. Sheraton Hotel. 2 Ugandan beauty will be spiced up with glamour and entertainment from the legendary Maddox Sematimba, the popular Abeka Band, and Jackie Chandiru. The show will broadcast live exclusively on Makula Chika on Star Times at 8 p.m. Come, let's celebrate Ugandan beauty. Sponsored by VNA, Alemzed, Comform, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors Dress Textiles and U-Home. Miss Uganda 2024, True Ugandan Beauty.
Peters College Girls invites parents, political leaders at all levels, civil servants, civil society organizations, the business communities, cultural leaders, OGs of War Girls and OBs of St. Aloysius College Nyapera, schools representatives within Zombo, and all well-wishers for the school's Patron Saints Day on the 20th of July 2024 at the school starting at 10 a.m. with Holy Mass to be presided over by His Grace Raphael Kumonyo Courage, the Archbishop of Gulu Archdiocese. There will be a fundraising to collect funds for the renovation of staff houses and purchase of a grinding mill for the school. The chief guest for the day will be Dr. Joyce Kadushu Moriku, the State Minister for Primary Education. My name is Gramia Vivian, the head girl of St. Peter's College Girls. I also invite you all.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that short commercial break. Now we are back into the second hour, 11 minutes after 8 o'clock. It's a great pleasure having you on board from wherever you are watching us from. We want to say thank you so much. Welcome aboard. And now we want to summarize this hour of the morning with issues related to what we call wetland encroachment. And now the government of Uganda, with powers already bestowed upon NEMA, which is the National Environmental Management Authority, which is already the body mandated to ensure the wetlands are safe and protected in there, is now carrying out nationwide campaign to make sure also the wetlands in this country are conserved. And we have seen evictions carried on in areas of central Uganda, most especially in Rubiji, which wasn't something that didn't go on well with some people, but now we are also really seeing ARUA city quite often also really raising concern, asking those people settled on the wetlands to move away from their areas before being evicted in there. But now I want to ask the leader of security within ARUA city on who exactly is on a wetland and which are some of those wetlands in ARUA city where we are likely to see evictions being carried out. And if at all we are going to be doing evictions, what are we going to be doing and what are we going to be looking out for as we identify those areas which have been termed to be wetlands? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just as our moderator has said, the government of the Republic of Uganda is now taking issues of climate, has actually started the work of issues of climate change more serious than never before. And that one particularly, our interest is on the encroachment of the wetlands across the country. But specifically, I am going to talk about wetland encroachment in ARUA city. You've seen of late, because of the change in the climate, our rain patterns have changed, our agriculture has been affected, and that is why we want to take that law enforcement seriously as a government. You see, Enyau River has, over the years, drastically reduced, and the flow, its flow has gotten affected, and it is affecting livelihoods directly, both in a positive way and also in a negative way. But more of it is in a negative way because so many people have lost their lives in it. Silently, by the way, a good number of children are dying because, first of all, their parents encroached the wetlands, and because most parents are absent parents these days, children end up drowning in the river, especially in the Enyau River. We have lost a number of young people, children especially, because of that. And as a government, we have given the lead to be taken by NEMA, but also as central government, as state, we are taking this so that NEMA can fully implement what the law has directed it to implement. There are many people who have constructed on the wetlands. You see households in a wetland and someone is comfortably living. And because, by the way, God's natural creation, nature, knows its original path. We have watched over years in Mbale where people had encroached wetland, and during rain season, nature took its natural pathway and many people lost their lives and property. And this is what we want to avoid as government in our country here. But particularly, our interest is on ARUA city. The belts of Enyau, the land that is not supposed to be sold, it is supposed to be nobody's land, has been owned by people who have encroached it. And this is what we are fighting. As government, we are going to bring down structures. If you know that you have constructed on a wetland, we are left with no option but to bring down your buildings so that we allow the nature to take its course there. Okay. Because first of all, our wetlands are supposed to be conserved. We are supposed to plant things like reeds around there so that it continues to provide that natural habitats for other living things in there. And two, we are doing this as a government because we want to save lives. Because we do not want other things that have happened in other regions to happen here in our city. That is why we are doing. And also two, we want our people to be safe. We do not want to lose young children to this. Because at the end of that day, most people who get affected are children because they are home. And also, because people have encroached the wetlands, people go ahead to cut even the trees that are around the wetlands. And it is affecting our rain pattern. It is affecting agriculture directly. These are things, because you may think we are coming to destroy your life. No, we want a better life for you. We want to see the ecology, the natural ecology, to be preserved so that our agriculture doesn't get affected. Also to address the climate change issues. Ugandans, let us love Uganda beyond ourselves. Let us honor Uganda by planting trees. If you cut one today, at least replace or afforestate by planting more than 5 or 10. Because also there is planting tree, but there is growing, tree growing. If you plant 10, probably they survive like 6 or 7. It will mean that there is going to be sustainability in preserving the environment and conserving it. So let us embrace tree growing so that we are able to conserve our environment. But most importantly, as government, we are coming down to implement the laws which NEMA, actually giving support to NEMA to ensure that structures that are being put in the wetlands are brought down, are destroyed, are completely destroyed, so that we give space for our environment around our wetlands to be safe for our climate harnessing for this beautiful city of Arua.
Okay, talking about corruption, many people have dropped the comments in here, and I will be going through that later on. What do you expect? Because recently in Kampala at Lubigi wetlands, also in the evictions, we did see the locals coming out to say that the evictions were also done indiscriminately, and that is where they felt some people who had to be evicted also really survived. One example is the petrol station, and secondly is the police station also really, which they say is on a wetland. As a rural city, what does the law say, and what should be done to make sure that such issues do not arise? And later on I will be going through the comment that has been also given to the two of you here later on.
Okay, thank you on that. When these evictions are to happen, one thing I expect is notice. These people should be given notice for them to prepare to leave, or if the breaking is to be done, they should have knowledge about it. Also, if from the unfairness, like you've stated it right, many people complain that some people were evicted, others were not. It has to be like that fair. If you're on a wetland and I'm on a wetland, we all have to live like at the same rate, at the same time, because it still remains a wetland. So discrimination there really doesn't have to come up, and I believe Arua City will do it the right way. If there are other people, maybe if they are really influential in one way or another and they are still on the wetland, they still remain on the wetland. So it has to be done in a transparent way. It has to be done in a more fair way. And also I really request that the people be given enough notice so that they prepare to leave. Some of these people actually purchased these plots of land. Unknowingly to them it was a wetland because they didn't do enough search. They didn't go to the lands to confirm if where they are buying is actually a wetland or it is just a normal place. People buy land during dry season, you know how that happens, and you end up knowing that you're on the right land. But it's very important going forward, if people are buying land, if you're purchasing land, make sure you do a search, go to lands, ask them, confirm, because most of these places are already gazetted. They'll let you know that here is a wetland and this place is okay. So let us put it into point. But I just request that people are given enough time to at least vacate or prepare themselves for these evictions, but they should be as fair as possible. Okay,
during the president's last address, he said no compensation for those on the wetlands if at all they are going to be evicted. But how is this going to be implying, and also how is it going to be also having an impact on that ordinary woman who is a widow or who is suffering? Because many times people who are being evicted, you find that they are the vulnerable ones. What should the government do to also make sure these people who are going to be evicted are not subject to suffering? Because many times they lack where to go to, and that has also really been a challenge with the evictions we have seen in this country. And as well as Arua City, I really want to pray that we not also witness the same scenarios like how we have seen in there. What do you think should be done by the leaders and the government at large to make sure that those people who are going to be evicted get to understand that initially, yes, indeed, they have been on the wetlands, but it's okay for them to leave?
That's why the point of dialogue comes in. I request that these people be called upon, have a dialogue with them, explain to them why this is happening and why they are doing it. Because, like I said, most of these people purchase the land and they have no idea that this is actually a wetland. So they may not be in fault because of the ignorance, though it's not a defense. But I really request that they dialogue with them, let them know. You know, when you explain to a person why you're doing something from your perspective and all that, it would be understandable. I know it's a government initiative and they have to do it anyway because the wetlands have to be conserved for the better good. But I just request that they can have a discussion, have a dialogue on that, because at the end of the day, the compensation will not come in, but someone will prepare to live in a good way and will not be that disgruntled. Maybe they have other options that they can go for, but in the best way possible, let's have a discussion with them, explain to them, and would be willing to join them in these dialogues and discussions to explain to these people the law regarding that.
Now I want to bring you back, Madam Bako, still on the same issue. Before evictions, what should be done to make sure that that person who is on the wetland currently in fear right now, because many of them are now living under fear, thinking of where they will be going next, and others must be going through depression right now because this has entirely been their land, because many of the times we see them complaining that this has been my ancestral land, my grandfathers were here, my we are here, but now I have nowhere to go to, and I'm really asking government to come to my rescue. What kind of help do you think government needed to also really give to these people who are on the wetlands? Because we did see the president saying that the only help government is giving them is to also really evict them without being also really arrested and brought before maybe before the law in there. How do you think this one needs to be helped?
Exactly, just as the president has said, the eviction is going to be without any arrests done of the people who are going to be evicted. But as a government, we will keep our words to say that we will not arrest unless when someone becomes rowdy. Because also when we are evicting and you start fighting maybe with police, maybe you start fighting with NEMA, that is when we shall step in to condone and act accordingly. Just as the president said, when we are now doing our implementation, which has started by the way, we will not arrest any Ugandan, because we have done a lot of sensitization on the implementation of the NEMA laws, and particularly for Arua City, our environment department is doing sensitizations already, and we will continue to give them the support. And whoever is in wetland, even before we reach you, vacate the wetlands. Carry your household utensils and please vacate so that we will not be into bigger problems with you. Yes. Because the law is very clear on the issues of
but madam, these people have nowhere to go to. Some of these people have nowhere to go to.
How did they
that this is their ancestral land?
By the way, a wetland is never an ancestral. Yes, it may be an ancestral land, but there is a point in which you are supposed to use your ancestral land, because you cannot dig up to where the waters are. We are not keeping it for any other thing. We are not taking it as a government, but we want that portion to be left intact so that nature does not come in full action and also take you up. Okay. I have said we have seen in recent times in Bale, in Bududa, how nature comes and it affects human life and other living things directly. So that is where the government's focus is. Must we continue to lose Ugandans because as a government we have not enforced a law that goes ahead to conserve environment and at the end of the day is protecting lives and property? So for us as a government, we'll go ahead to give support to NEMA to do full implementation of wetland conservation, and we are not turning back on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not turning back, that also really means that they are coming. If I told you in a wetland, please start also really packing to also really go in there, and that would also be something I feel I need to let you know of. Minala, I want to now bring you back to also really understand what does the law say, because we did see the president also really asking people to also really leave the land and maybe use it for other alternatives, also maybe for fishing, for also doing other things. If at all you're going to be evicted from the land, do you lose ownership over that land? Does it now become government land where now that also it will now not be known as your land? What does the law say about the ownership of land, also really, most especially those under wetlands?
Wetlands and game parks, all those reserved areas, belong to the government. Like no one has ownership over them. So if these people actually trace backwards to their families and claiming that it's an ancestral land, let them trace backwards, they'll realize that land was actually for government from the very start. Just that sometimes government relaxes and allows people to really utilize these places because of the issues like that come up or need where to stay. But if you are evicted today, there is no coming back to that very land because it actually belongs to the government. Like I said earlier, these lands are actually gazetted. They are already gazetted. Like if they try to go to Ministry of Lands and all that, they'll realize that these places are already under the government ownership. Yes.
So that is it. I don't know what the viewer has said, but there's a comment which I just received, a lengthy one. That is already from one of the citizens who's already watching us right now, where he has also already spoken elaborately about the issues pertaining corruption in this country. And if I can briefly also already check through, he says corruption will reach everyone in any way. And where he cited so many examples, the bad roads killing our poor each and every day, where funds have also already been given to work on these roads, but the money has disappeared. And he gave an example, so the engineer of ARUA City who had 30 million shillings, and also that is only one thing he said about the ambulance, plus many other issues, poor garbage disposal, rampant killings, theft, and also the land that is already being lost there. We mentioned also already on the issue of URA killings, innocent people also already in the region where the leaders are quiet. I think that is also where me and you are said to be quiet. But really, what should be done? Does this justify the need to march that is already today also in there, where the leaders and the group of youth already applying to move from wherever they are coming from, that is to move to the city council. Once they move in there, what are they going to be doing in there? Do we expect chaos? Do we expect distractions? Or do we expect dialogue? Because if you had mentioned about dialogue, then we would allow them to move and also meet with the leaders. Don't you think that would work out? Given the example that he has cited very lengthy here, where people bribe able to get jobs and everyone is quiet. Many examples. He was able to mention a lengthy one here where he cited so many examples, and he's entitled to his own opinions, and we cannot also really charge him for that.
I would like to thank him for his opinions, just as you've said. For example, if you are looking for a job in government office, you give bribes, you also corrupt. Because why do you give money so that they can give you a job? We will start arresting with you who gives the money and also arrest the recipient of these monies. Because the two parties have actively exchanged hands in money terms, and that is corruption, and we condone that as a government. If you have seen a government employee misusing funds and you have evidence, please, as I said earlier on, our office of RCC is wide open. Come and tell us and give us the evidence. For us, we shall swing in that action. Taking law into your hands, coming to the city square just because you want to riot and make noise here and there, and yet the door of RCC is open for dialogue, we will keep you where you can best be.
Okay.
Because our security is set class 1, and I'm not going to fear telling my sisters and brothers here in the region that our security is alert, our police is alert, our UPDF is alert, all the security agencies are alert on issues of condoning unnecessary movement and making noise on the streets. Let us have a dialogue, come to us in office, let's sit and if you have evidences of those who are corrupt, please avail to us. And two, because these corrupt are, as I said earlier on, they are your wives, they are your fathers, they are your mothers, they are your sisters, they are your aunties and your uncles. So if you know that they are corrupt and you have the evidence, please bring that evidence to us and let's sit on a dialogue, and so that we can bring such people into books. And that is our stand as government. That is our stand as security in ARUA City. Okay, that is your final work. What can you say finally in relation to those activities of today as we get to the time, because our time is almost up? I don't think any activity of riots will take place in ARUA City, especially the central division of ARUA City today, because my men, my uniformed men, are already placed to take care of people's property and life. And whoever will come on the streets to make noise, to riot. Trust me, without fear or favor, because we do not want government programs to be disrupted. We do not want people's businesses in the city center to be disrupted. We do not want people's lives to be put at risk. We will take what it needs for us to condone peace, because already Arua City Central Division is calm. Arua City generally is calm. We will continue as security to provide that calmity so that people are able to transform themselves economically, people are able to do business, and that is all. So for you who is coming on the streets, come knowing that we're also ready on these streets to pick you and keep you where you are better off to be. And to the Ugandans, especially in Arua City and West Nile region, please keep calm. Let's not borrow a leaf from other people, because we do not know their intentions. As West Nile, we suffered a lot, 20 years of Konyi War. Now peace has come. Our electricity, by the way, the long-awaited electricity that the opposition has been putting us down as a government on, is going to be on. Let's make use of this electricity. Early August, our electricity is going to be switched on by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. And this is a bonus to us, because now we want to add value to whatever we produce here in the region, so that we can be able to fetch international market. And that should be our focus. As young people, we should make sure that we have businesses that we are going to tap the electricity usage for, so that we are able to transform our economy. Especially my ghetto youth of Arua Central Division, my guys at Kenya Ward down there at Kirabu, I'm so proud about you. The ghettos, your saloon should be readily available, set, because now your machines that you received from His Excellency and as support to your economic transformation has been delivered to you already. Please make use of the electricity so that you transform the ghetto world, because as a ghetto member, I do not want my members to be broke for life now, because now our focus, our challenge was off on electricity. Now that it is getting sorted, let's make use of it. To my young people of the region, the rains have started. Do not wait for a white-collar job. Create your own job. You have lands. Make use of the rains. Make use of your beautiful climate. Make use of the rich soils. Plant onions, plant cabbages, plant anything that can generate money for you, and so that you can be able to come out of the poverty. Most importantly, make use of the government programs. Get the youth livelihood money. Get the parish development money, so that you are able to beef up the existing enterprises that you are in. As government, we will continue to provide you with a security. We will continue to provide you with these resources. We will continue to guide you. Our office of the RCC is open. Please make use of us. And also as young people, because the future belongs to us, tip us on issues of wrong people in our communities, because we are prone to the two borders of South Sudan. Of late, people enter with guns. Our security has been alert, especially at the borders of South Sudan and DRC. So make use of that available peace to transform your lives. If there are wrong people who have entered and are infiltrating us, please let us know as security, so that we can be able to arrest the situations. Because of the ADF, many young people are getting trapped, because they are using money to lure young people into issues of terrorism. Please, we condone that, especially here in the region. We want peace, and we want to transform ourselves within this peace that the NRM government has ushered in for the 38 years that it has been in power. I want to thank West Nile TV for the time. As a government, we will continue to give you the support, because you're supporting us a lot. Importantly, let us transform our households. Let's work hard. Our children should be in school. Avoid marrying our girls early. This will be a topic for the next time, but avoid our girls to be married, because when you educate a girl child, you educate a whole nation. And the nation is because we are as young people, because we are as women.
Okay, thank you so much. That is also the Assistant Resident City Commissioner in charge of Central Division, Miss Judith BAKO.
And also the spokesperson for the Patriotic League of Uganda, which is headed by General Muhoozi, because Baba Yoweri Kaguta Museveni now, but MK next, and we are not
here to campaign, and that is where
I am just passing. I'm just passing that information to the Ugandans.
Anyway, thank you so much for that information. Yeah, Miss Minala, maybe your final words as we get to summarize these discussions with.
Yes, mine goes out to our youth, my dear brothers and sisters. Before you walk to the street today, think twice, think about it. I really believe in dialogue. I've seen it work. So what if we try this dialogue method without going to the street to get ourselves arrested, remanded, and maybe injured in the process? They are peaceful demonstrations and they are not done in this way. Let's plan for maybe a peaceful one, where you'll come and you'll be listened to. Dialogues really do work here. Bring those people to book. Every corrupt member of government or official that you know, bring them to book. Have that evidence. The law really does work. At the end of the day, you'll have justice and you'll have satisfaction. So me, I will not support the protest because I know what it can do to the people. Go work and have a better life. Go use these government programs to be a better person, and also remember to report corruption and do not give bribes, because it starts with you. The giver and the receiver can all be brought to book under the law.
Thank you so much, ladies. I want to thank you so much for sparing your time to come and talk to the nation. And I believe you who watched us definitely has picked something which most probably you could be not knowing, and now you have also had that information. Please do not say that with that information. Extend and share with the rest of the people out there so that it becomes of benefit to the society in there, because we're here to enlighten the region as West Nile TV. Our #1 mandate remains, that is to enlighten the region, and we're not going to be doing that alone, where we have to do it with you. And that brings us to the end of the discussions, but we are yet going to be summarizing the day with some of those stories happening internationally. My name is Farish Majid. It's a great pleasure having you on board this morning. Stay tuned as we bounce back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Miss Uganda 2024 Grand Finale is here. 28 finalists, one crown. On Saturday, 3rd of August at 8 p.m. Sheraton Hotel. True Ugandan beauty will be spiced up with glamour and entertainment from the legendary Maddox Sematimba, the popular Abeka Band, and Jackie Chandiru. The show will broadcast live exclusively on Makula Chika on Star Times at 8 p.m. Come, let's celebrate Ugandan beauty. Sponsored by VNA, Alemzed, Comform, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors Dress Textiles and U Home. Miss Uganda 2024, True Ugandan Beauty.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Well, a very bright morning it is in ARUA City. You're most welcome for the KOKOLIRIKO live show and the final minutes and the final hours of the discussions today. And we were earlier on joined by guests from ARUA City, where we did have, that is Judith BAKO, Assistant Resident City Commissioner in charge of Central Division, together with REHEMA MINALA, Assistant Legal Officer solely with FIDA Uganda, and they were able to solely take us through some of the issues of national importance, where we talked about government programs. We summarized the discussions with what we call wetland conservation. And today, many people have also not been understanding what exactly wetland is, but I hope you now who watched us has gotten what it takes also to be in a wetland and what it takes also for you to be evicted in the forthcoming also the plans to have the people who are settled on the wetlands also really be evicted in there. And that is where we are saying we had that time. And now you who had the information, please, once again, I want to remind you not to keep it to yourself. Help that person who is in a wetland to start identifying where they will be going next. Could it be maybe they have maternal relatives or paternal relatives? They should be finding it now, and then also finding also difficult once they're evicted, and then going to the village will become difficult. And that's why I'm saying for those who have no lands within the city center, start thinking of renting, or else start thinking of going back to the village. And that's only where, if land is not in the village, then that's where you're going to find it difficult still. But I'm saying we should be finding our ways now, and that's where I'm leaving that discussion aside with. Now let's look at what's happening nationally, where Speaker Anita Mong has ordered plenary to cancel amid also what we call growing anti-graft protests also in there. That's something we did see yesterday, where the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Anita Mong, has directed the Clerk to Parliament, Adolphe Mwesige, also to cancel this week's plenary sitting under unclear circumstances. According to a communication from House, plenary is now expected to resume on July 30th also in there. That means already today. I believe this also could be coming from the pressure amounting also that's also as a result of the anti-graft campaigns also in there. And the decision follows a series of events, starting with a group of youths who took Kampala streets also on Tuesday, demanding the Speaker's resignation amid his corruption allegations against also the Parliament in there. And the House had resumed sittings on Tuesday after a month-long break also which where they were for recess, and over 50 protesters have also subsequently been arrested and remanded to Luzira prison on charges of idle and disorderly and creating public nuisance in there. These are charges they will be charged for, and this also should be going to those within ARUA City, because I do understand today ARUA City is actually planning to hold the same. Definitely will it go on? Our eyes on ground to keep you informed, and as the viewer, definitely we shall be here to also let you know how these events will be unfolding and how they will be ending as well. And that brings us also to the point where we say just sit at your sitting room and wait. Definitely we shall be here to let you know of that. But that's why we did see that happening, and the plenary was also chaired by Deputy Speaker Thomas Tayebwa. Did see also Parliament also really having angers, where we did see tempers flaring, and one person who actually took the floor of Parliament and shook the Parliament also really was, and the person who shook the Parliament is actually one MP from West Nile, that is Leonio Diayok from Aringa South, who was able to also really move the Parliament in there, where he demanded the Speaker, together with the deputies, also to answer to the allegations of corruption in this country. And remember, the legislator I'm talking about has been traversing the country together with the colleagues, also to seek signatures, also to have the 4 backbench commissioners and the Speaker of Parliament also really have the matter be brought, that is before Parliament, to be debated in there, where the 4 backbench commissioners allocated 1.7 billion to themselves, about 1.7 billion to themselves, where that's something that didn't go on well, where each one took about at least 400 millions, where one took 500 million, but something that didn't go on well with the section of these legislators. But how do we end the corruption in this country? Definitely I'm saying me and you have something to do to also really make sure the country is safe and protected from the corruption that we are talking about today, because the fight against corruption can't only be left, that is, to the bodies that and the institutions that have been created in there to fight also in there. Today we have the IGG, we have the Anti-Corruption Coalition, many others already in there to make sure that there is no corruption in this country, but the vice tends to be going on. And now the government of Uganda, where recently we did see the president saying that new bodies are going to be created, and now we have seen one being created that will be addressing the issue of tax leakages. And remember, many many of times local governments have been doing what we call under declarations of also really money, which has really been a challenge, where individuals pocket money and taxpayers' money just goes into waste like that. But how do we make sure that the country has also no corruption? Because when we talk about corruption, definitely it is bigger than the word corruption, because the word itself sounds corruption, and I believe the name is too huge, and we should also find a new vocabulary to call corruption, because as Ugandans, maybe as Africans, we are also saying that this virus has affected us in so many ways, and that's where now we need to make sure that we do something to make sure that the corruption ends. And that's where if you find somebody is corrupt, the offices of the resident district commissioners and city commissioners are quite open across the entire country. Walk in and also let them know who is also doing what. And that's also in terms of social corruption. It will be upon their duty to make sure that investigations into this matter are carried out. And remember, the president recently said that he has evidence that also that there's corruption. There has been corruption where government of Uganda has been losing trillions and trillions of money every financial year to some individuals who pocket this money, and now that means it is the time to also make sure that that issue and that also the corruption tendencies in this country are also kicked out in there, because definitely me and you have something to do. And today we are going to be seeing this also happening, where we are seeing young people also planning to protest against the rampant cases of corruption in this country. And many of them have actually cited so many areas where they feel they have been neglected, where they have also been despised as a result of corruption. And that is one thing also we are going to be following up on today, and we shall be seeing that also happening, and we'll be also letting you know how this will be ending tomorrow. And remember, tomorrow is our final day for the KOKOLIRIKO live show, and for this week, and that's also where we shall be here to let you know of how these events have transpired in ARUA city and have also gone in the other parts of the country. And this is also where we are seeing the national campaign being also being preached, that is on the various media platforms. And that is one thing also we shall be coming up tomorrow with, and also let you know as the viewer of how this has actually been moving on and how they have ended, and what exactly is the responsible authority responding also to this also going to be doing, because we also expect response from them if at all we are saying that young people are fighting corruption. But how do we make sure that they get answers to the corruption also the fight that they have also engaged themselves into? And that's where I'm leaving that discussion aside with, but you as the viewer definitely has something also maybe you can be able to sort of share with us as we get to move on with the show. And remember, this week has been also very much been taken up by the issues of the anti-graft protests already moving across the entire country in there. But now that's also where we have seen scores being arrested, where among also we have seen the ex-Makerere Guild president and 15 others who have also already been remanded over the anti-corruption march in there. And my journalists have not been spared. One journalist has already been also remanded in there. But now we are following up on that matter to also really see how these people will be brought to book, because they were arrested and remanded to Luzira prison in there. Now, former Makerere University Guild President Robert Maseruka was among the 16 individuals arrested during yesterday's anti-corruption protests, arraigned before Buganda Road Magistrate Court yesterday. And that's something we did see yesterday, where Grade 1 Magistrate Caroline Chosabire read a charge of disorderly conduct also against the accused persons, all about Brian, but Brian Magara pleaded not guilty in there. But how do we make sure that these people get the justice? Because we expect justice, and I do understand that it's actually the constitutional mandate where they have to use the right channels. Demonstrating is never the way to go, but it is allowed. It's actually within the laws, where if at all you are also really feeling that you are not also really feeling happy about something, you are to use the right channels. First of all, by reporting to police, and police has to guide you. We have seen this happening recently. We did see also with in ARUA city, I was able to see peaceful demonstrations that was staged by the Muslim community headed by the district guard Sheikh Shaban Abu Jafar Karala, which was against what we call the anti-homosexuality. And that is something we did see going on peacefully, where there was no destruction of property. People walked from wherever they were coming from. That is also to the OPM following grounds, and they had the meeting and said no to homosexuality. And I believe our government of Uganda actually had that plea, and where today we also really facing a number of challenges as a result of also that, where we have seen donor also fundings being cut, where we have seen intimidations, where we have seen restrictions onto some of our individuals, which have all been attributed to that matter. And I believe we could actually use that same channel, and that would also really make us be in a peaceful state in there. And what do you think as the viewer? Definitely I want to extend that back to you to also really make sure that you share your opinions. Do you think it's right for the government to have all these members of the public be remanded over the anti-graft corruption match in there? Because that is something we did see. And remember, this is already following concerns also already of riots that we did see in Kenya, where we did see the youths also already under their Gen Z groups also already coming up to ask the president to refute and also really refuse that's the finance bill, which was rejected. And these people have also continued with their demands to have the president resign. And this is something where we are seeing the riots already going on. And talking about the riots in Kenya, we are now seeing Kenya deporting Ugandans only over engaging in the political activities in areas of Kisumu in there. And now the Joint Security of Forces has revealed that also really the Kenyan security on Tuesday night handed over 36 Ugandans who were arrested for conducting illegal political and activities in areas of Kisumu. And the group also, which identifies itself as the FDC Katonga, claims they had gone for the leadership also really training in Kisumu, which was to take place for a week in there. And at around 4:30 p.m., a group of 36 Ugandans who were also handed over by Kenyan security to Uganda for legally organizing also political activities were assembled at Kololo Independence Grounds, ready to be handed over to police in there. Now, Paul Mugisha, an external security officer, says the Kenyan government in liaison also with Uganda found out that the said group also with no contact person in Kenya made also the Kenyan authorities suspicious in there, and that is actually a reason as to why they could have also been arrested in relation to the issues of insecurity in there. But now that is something we did see happening, and now Mr. Samuel Makota Mageni, the group coordinator, says the aim of that was to improve FTC's Katonga leadership through also really skilling more members to get more skills, and also initially meant to also happen in also the December before the delegates conference of Katonga in there. Remember, as we are moving closer to 2026, so many individuals are now looking for strategies also of beating their opponents ahead of 2026 in there. But how do we make sure that also really what we are likely to engage in does not also really contradict the laws and also really bring us into the injustices and also really into the wrath of the law? Because at the end of the day, the law may also not also really understand where you went in there, because if you went illegally, definitely once you become suspicious, that is where it becomes a problem. And that's one thing also really where we are now expecting also really those people to be brought to book. If I told they will be brought to book, maybe if they are found guilty, that's where we shall also really see them also be remanded. If I told they are innocent, that is where I also really want to say they must be freed. And this must be in a process that must be done faster, because sometimes we see people being kept behind bars for a long period of time without necessarily also really getting justice, because usually we say justice delayed is justice denied. And that is where one thing also really which we are calling forward for, and we want to make sure that those who have been arrested, if at all they are innocent, they must be freed so that they can be able to go back and also start preparing for their activities in there. If at all they are to engage in their activities ahead of 2026, that is where also we expect them now to also be doing that. And Mr. Mangeni said, in coordination with their top leadership, the group required better environment than Uganda to train young members also in leadership skills, which explains why they chose Ukweli Pastoral Leadership Center, which is in Kisumu County, India. And however, claims that they also, upon preparing meeting for that training, they were ambushed also really by security and also unidentified personnel in there. But this is something that is happening, and the group now, which includes 3 women, will be handed over to police for further interrogation. That is all to find out their motives for moving into that country in there. And that is one thing we are living in there. Still talking about the anti-protest also in the anti-corruption protests in Uganda. 3 activists have been arrested and remanded over the same issue, and that is one thing also really we are seeing on the first morning as we get to summarize today's discussions with. And remember, after here, we are going to be having the news bulletin in Lugbarra TV. That's with Fete Manuel, who is already here to also let you know of what is happening in the world of EOLAs. And that's one thing also where I want to also encourage you as the viewer also to keep waiting in there. Now, 3 civil society activists were arrested on Wednesday and subsequently handed over their alleged involvement in anti-corruption also already protests held in Kampala the previous also day in the Ruth Nalunkuma, Abigail Kalanda, and Dennis Pato, all affiliated also with the youth focus organization Vijana Corps. We apprehended also at Eliana Hotel in Tinda as they also prepared to address the media before the protests in there, and that is something also which got them arrested for. And the trio was charged with unlawful assembly at City Hall Court and remanded until Thursday morning. And that is one thing also really we are asking you also to stay away from. We are also asking young people to also for now avoid issues of these conflicts also in there where we don't want to see anybody be arrested for and also be brought to book in there that would also subject them to entire suffering. And that is one thing also really which we are calling upon for. We must embrace dialogue. We are also there. We must make sure as youths our concerns and the views must be heard, and that brings us to today's end of the discussions and where we are paving way for the EOLAs news team to come through. Fete Manuel ndedo achibo and the divini mumitri o ya ndondo di olura den de obero pi ngaro pi pandondo di malia di midri mu di olura do ama pasani amane amadika odutoisi dikoduto endinga ovu odu mabasizu otita amani kokoliriko nirisun mapado asani amane amadika savles. Yes, that brings us to the end. I want to say thank you so much whoever watched us right from the time we began until this hour of the morning. I want to say thank you so much, and our eyes on ground, we shall be coming tomorrow to also let you know of what exactly is happening in the entire country. For now, we are out. Have a good day. My name is Farish Majid.